So we're now going to go into more detail on how we're going to do this strategic performance analysis for your core processes. So we should be able to, again, take a strategy map, the map that you've been working on through Module 1, and list its strategic objectives down the left of the spreadsheet. Now, what we'll also be doing is putting on the weighting. In this case, we're going to simplify it to high, medium, and low. Then across the top, you'll identify your core processes and list those. Then finally, we'll be able to complete a grid of how each process is supporting each strategic objective. Ultimately, we'll end up with something that will look like this. Let's take a look at logistics, just as an example. So, if we take a look at the logistics process against the strategic objectives, what we'll be able to do is rate and rank its importance. So, logistics, the process, what impact does it have on increased profitability? In the airline business, really not much. What impact does logistics have on more passengers? It has an impact, and in this particular case, we'll rate it as its performance as a C. Now, based on it being a medium-weighted objective and a performance of C, it ends up being colored yellow. We need to pay some attention to it, but it's not critical. Logistics obviously has a big impact on fewer planes, and currently we'll rate its performance also at a C. But because it's a low-weighted objective, this comes out as green, which means although it is a weaker performance, because it's a low-weighted objective, we don't need to worry about that right now. Maybe later we need to, but for now it's not significantly impacting our ability to achieve strategic success. So, if we put this back in to context, we can begin seeing that the process logistics overall isn't performing badly. It's got a bunch of A's and more importantly a bunch of greens and one red and one yellow. So the process is performing not that badly. But chances are the people that run the logistics department may already know that, but this is going to make that performance available and visible to the whole organization. But more importantly, what your organization doesn't have is a view of how we're performing across all processes as we look at the strategic performance against the strategic objective. So if we take a look at one like low ticket price, in this case, it looks like all the processes are performing well, and we're in all likelihood going to achieve success in that objective, which is good because it's a highly weighted objective. Let's take a look at another strategic objective. Let's say reduce turnaround time. Also highly weighted, but unfortunately most of the processes are failing. When I say failing, they actually don't have an F. They have a C, so they're satisfactory. But because it's a high weighted objective, it becomes a strategically important issue for leadership to take a look at. So that ability to see strategic performance is typically not available currently in organizations and critical to making strategic decisions. In fact, we can even mathematically give all of those results a score, and we come up with a graph that looks like this, where the blue bar represents how well the current processes are performing, and the gold is a gap between how they're currently performing and how they need to perform to achieve strategic success. Now, later on, we're going to take a look at processes and projects, and obviously, a project, if we're going to invest $1 in a project here with a small gap or $1 here, it's easy to make the decision we should be investing over here first. What this allows us to do is not only make our strategic process gaps visible at last, but also make those decisions around what to do about them easy for the entire leadership team to agree on. Now, we can take the same chart and add it by process to give you a chart that looks like this. Again, the purple bar in this case shows how well the process is currently performing, and the gray bar represents a gap between how well that process is currently performing and what we need to achieve strategic success. So again, this makes that strategic impact of performance visible to the process owners. So that's a more detailed explanation of how we do this analysis. What you end up with by the time you're done is a clear visibility of how well processes are meeting their strategic requirements, and an ability to have that conversation both at the strategic objective level and at the core process level.